This hearing is being live streamed on YouTube. I would ask all those that come forward to speak to an application today to use the microphones to ensure all discussions can be heard clearly. We acknowledge the land we are meeting on as the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat people, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. This meeting is called to order in accordance with Sections 45 and 53 of the Planning Act. This meeting, at which the Committee of Adjustments considers applications for 1, variances from the provisions of the zoning bylaws, 2, permission to extend or alter lawful non-conforming uses, and consent to sever property to create new lots. Anyone in attendance who wants to receive a copy of our decision must complete a decision request card. The cards are available at the end of this table. Please ensure that you include your email address. Once completed, please give the card to a member of the staff seated to my right. If you do not agree with our decision, most decisions may be appealed to the Toronto Local Appeal Body, TLAB. Appeal instructions are set out at the bottom of our decision. More information on TLAB can be found on either the TLAB or the committee site, both of which can be accessed through the City of Toronto website. Our hearing procedure is as follows. I will vet the agenda to determine which applications can be dealt with immediately and which applications have individuals other than the applicant or agent that wish to address the committee. I would call each item in turn and ask individuals to identify themselves. If there are people in interest or in opposition, the matter will be held until all non-contested applications have been dealt with. If your item is held, we strongly advise that the applicant agent meet with the interested parties outside the hearing room to discuss and attempt to resolve differences. If no person is present in interest or in opposition, the item will be called in order of the agenda for non-contested applications. When making your submissions, if the application is uncontested, the agent or applicant will proceed with their presentation if we require it. The committee may ask questions and/or take the matter into the committee for a decision. Each speaker, including the applicant agent, will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee. When addressing the committee, please come forward to the podium, clearly state your name and address, and provide your decision request card to committee staff. Please remember to confine your remarks to the matters outlined in the application. If you have a written submission that you read from, please hand it to the Deputy Secretary Treasurer when you are done. The applicant or agent will proceed first and will make a presentation to the committee. Please note the committee may not entertain extensive revisions to proposals at the hearing today. The committee may decide to defer the application to ensure that any revisions are accurate and that all those entitled to notice of the application are informed of the changes. Then individuals either in support or opposed will be invited to speak. If there are several speakers sharing the same view, please select a spokesperson. We do not want to hear the same points argued over again. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker. When all speakers have finished, the applicant agent has an opportunity to rebut only those issues that were raised by the speakers. This will mark the end of the discussion. The application will then be taken into committee for a decision. Are there any declarations of interest from the panel or staff for the 2:30 time slot? 1:30 time slot, pardon me. Okay. Are there any files to be closed or deferrals? Going to vet the agenda now. Number 21, 219 Craven Road, applicant or agent? Yes. Any opposition to Craven Road? Thank you. 22, 135 Glen Road. Mr. Higgins, any opposition to Glen Road? Yes, okay. Perhaps we will hold that down. Perhaps you could meet outside the hearing room and see if you can resolve your differences. Number 23, 686 Richmond Street West, applicant. Any opposition to Richmond Street? 24, 1013 Cosburn Avenue, applicant. Yes. Any opposition to Cosburn? No. Number 25, 22 Tarleton Road, applicant. Any opposition to Tarleton? 26, 32 Palisades. Yes. Any opposition to Palisades? 27, 470 Delaware Avenue. Yes. Any opposition to Delaware? 28, 62 Roxborough Street West. Yes. Any opposition to Roxborough? 29, 82 Massey Street. Applicant, Massey Street. Any opposition to Massey Street? Okay. I'll come back to that. Number 30, 25 Bonnie Bray Boulevard, applicant? Yes. Any opposition on Bonnie Bray? No. Okay. So, we'll deal with number 21, 219 Craven Road. The purpose of this application is to construct a new two-story detached dwelling with a front porch and rear ground floor deck. On this application, we have material submitted by the applicant, correspondence from Transportation, a report from Urban Forestry, 4 form letters in support, 1 letter of concern, and 3 letters of opposition. Your name, sir?
Good afternoon. My name is James Tran. I'm the agent for the owner at 219 Craven Road.
Okay. Okay, could you just briefly tell us about this application?
Sure. This proposal here is reconstruct a new home on the existing lot. Presently, there's a 1.5 story, which is like 2-story homes. It's really, really old, and then the age of the home is unrepairable now. We get to the stage that the owner have lived there for many, many years and need to redevelop and reconstruct a home. It is a very modest home. This is only 104 meter square, so it's just slightly 1,000-ish square feet. It's really, really small. You only have 2 bedrooms and your typical living room and kitchen. And the kitchen has to be in the basement because we don't have too much room on the ground floor even. So due to the size of the lot and the nature of the require, we could only maximum do is 104 meters square. I have surveyed around the lots, around the area, and looked through many other files there. And I want to submit to committee my review, what committee have approved in the past.
So could you put it up on the overhead, please? It's a little hard to read.
Oh, sorry, okay.
Is it in the material?
Oh, just read, okay.
Not so excessive. Okay.
Okay, so we go through the area and mainly on Craven Road and Road, which is behind this property here. And as you can see there, majority of the density that's been approved in the past is well within around one time the lot which is really what we're asking for. It's very consistent of what the neighborhood is. It's a very small lot. Craven Road is a really, really small lot. Street road back up this property is a much longer lot, and the lot probably, I would say, 30% bigger than what we have in here. So the spacing of the house back to back actually are quite far away because road is quite a long lot relatively to Craven Road, okay? So the density that we're asking for is approximately 1 time the lot. And as you can see from 221 Craven Road, 267, 569, 465, 273.
Hey, sir,
No, sorry.
we
Oh, you can see that. Okay, I thought you
not
cannot
so
see it.
outrageous that it should be an issue. Carry on with.
Sure. Yeah. So the density, what we're asking for, is consistent. Similarly, with the rear yard setback, we're asking for a little bit over 5 meters from the rear yard, whereas the required is 7.5. And as you can see, due to the nature of the lot is very short, and in the past, committee have also granted houses being a little bit closer to the rear yard lot. And
Number 3.
okay, and the side yard setback here, actually what we propose here is we're setting back from the lot line a lot more than what's the existing condition. Existing condition, literally the buildings are building almost lot to lot, and that's just the nature back in the days. So again, I was stressed that the lot are very narrow, so we can move back as much we can because you can see from the plans there, it's a very, very narrow house. Yes.
Okay, I think that, does anybody have any questions? Motion?
I thought that maybe the side at the backyard setback can be increased. When I noticed that actually those property behind, they have very long lots, so that's not a problem for me. And I do not see any other thing that is not in keeping with the small lot and, on the street. So I'd like to move for approval with forestry condition number 3.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor? Have your approval, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 23, 686 Richmond Street West.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Susan Mintz, and I'm a registered professional planner. I'm here today on behalf of the...
Would you hold on to?
Oh, I beg your pardon.
So the purpose of this application is to alter the existing 2-story mixed-use building by constructing 3rd and 4th story additions and a 4th-story north side addition and converting the building into one dwelling unit. This is requested permission under subsection 45(2)(a)(1) and 2 of the Planning Act. The property has lawful nonconforming status under the Planning Act as the mixed-use building with commercial uses and 1 residential unit existed prior to the passing of the zoning bylaw, which does not permit the said use in an L1 zone? I1. Any change of use, alterations, or additions to the building requires permission of the Committee of Adjustments. And Section 91F of the Bylaw 43886, the enlargement of the residential use is an alteration and extension of the lawful non-conforming use. And before us on this application, we have material submitted by the applicant. We have support from Salvation Army, and a form letter in support by the occupants of 691 Richmond Street West, and opposition from 675 Richmond Okay, perhaps you can tell us why this is extension of the legal non-conforming use.
The owner is seeking a single-use variance to extend the existing residential use to the entire building. The proposed use conforms to the official plan and the secondary plan, and the proposed use is entirely consistent with the residential character to the south of Queen Street. As of this morning, there are no objections from city plannings to this single variance. The proposed addition has been designed by one of Toronto's award-winning architects who's in attendance should you have any questions associated with design. The height of the addition is consistent with the adjacent residential building to the east. Well, in advance of the release of the public notice, I distributed flyers depicting and describing the proposed development, including the required variance. As of midnight last night, we've not received any comments or questions from folks in the neighborhood. As you've said, 2 letters of support have been submitted. The 1 letter of objection submitted did not contain any material details I can actually address. So with that, do you have any questions from me?
I want to understand. You say that the zoning bylaw permits, is residential?
No, I said the official plan.
Yeah, all right. So
Here, I will...
what does the zoning bylaw say?
The zoning bylaw is industrial, so it permits things like dry cleaners, a tannery.
Yeah.
Still have that.
You can see the site is in the highlighted neighborhood area in the official plan, and as you know, the zoning bylaw has to conform to the official plan. This is consistent also with the secondary plan within neighborhoods. In this context, to all along Richmond Street residential, to the south residential, that's what we're seeking here. The height and the design of it consistent with the immediate adjacencies to the east.
My problem, and at least one of my colleagues' problem, is that the legal non-conforming use seems to be mixed use. And my understanding is that you have a mixed-use building, maybe you want to enlarge the residential component, or you want to enlarge the retail component somewhat, but it has to remain a mixed-use building in order to be a legal non-conforming user.
We're seeking to extend the residential to the entire building.
Yeah, but you're changing the building from mixed use to residential. That doesn't seem to me to be an extension of, a permitted extension of a legal non-conforming use.
That's why we're here today, is to get that permission for the residential use of that building.
I don't know that we can give you.
There are no objections from the city.
I don't care whether there are objections or there aren't objections. I'm not sure that we can give you permission to.
This is the neighborhood around it.
No, I know the neighborhood around it.
Okay.
I
This is,
understand it's residential, but your building
And
is
this-
owned industrial.
it's zoned industrial,
And your legal non-conforming user is mixed use.
mixed use, and we're seeking residential,
No, I understand that.
which is what,
My own also concern too. Once you change the use, you change your current status, which is non-conforming status,
right,
right?
Lose it.
So you lose it. That's
right.
So you then it means that you will have, then you have an industrial building. Now you want to turn it into residential.
We want to, right.
So I do not know whether it is. It seems to be like a rezoning issue to me, rather than just change of use. You will lose your lawful non-conformist status.
It conforms, as it conforms to the official plan and its secondary plan, the zoning bylaw has to conform to the official plan. So in that way, it is
Which is the industrial use.
right. And so the antiquated zoning, which was applied to this site, no longer is a use which is compatible to the existing neighborhood.
Can you talk a bit about it? This is a very large single-family building being proposed. Can you talk a bit about why the size and why it's so large?
Help us understand what the purpose of the building is ultimately going to be.
So the building is 4 stories. As I've said, the height is consistent with the adjacent building. So when I walked into the building, you immediately come to sort of a residential level, and there's several levels of residential in the house. The actual design of the building, I would, as I've said, defer to Luke, who designed the building. Okay? Thanks, Luke.
Hi, Luke Bullian. Just to respond to the comment about the design, our client has accessibility issues, and so we're implementing an elevator to 2 fully accessible floors that are going to be on top. The ground floor and the second floor are less accessible, and there's stairs up from the street, so that's how we're dealing with the 2 stories. The third story sets back from the south edge, and then the 4th story sets back another large amount, so there's some exterior space, but it's really just to take all the sun into the building as deep as we can. Bless you. So then so the 2 stories on the top have the bedroom and the guest room, and then the ground floor and the second floor. There's a bedroom on the second floor, and that's actually probably going to be for a caregiver. And then the ground floor is the living area space. There's also a basement. Thanks.
I think our observation when we're thinking about it seems like an awful lot of bedrooms. I mean, you can appreciate that sometimes people wonder, ultimately,
Of course.
the use is going to change as a result of that. But
Yeah.
you're saying it's all for the use of the Of the owner?
Single occupant, yeah. So we discussed this with zoning as well because of the same reason. And so we've indicated clearly the plan for 1 kitchen, not subdividing this in the future. It's someone who really wants to be part of this neighborhood and loves the neighborhood currently. And so we just want to create a space for them to be in. And it's in terms of the height, it does. We've built and designed everything to fit within the area's setbacks and height limitations, so that there weren't any other variances, and tried to respect that as much as possible. So yeah.
Could you comment on, like, if this were zoned residential, what would the setbacks? Do you know offhand what the setback implications would be? Particularly, I'm talking about the rear lot line, which is you're right up to it, and the side as well.
Sure. The setback for residential, it has been reviewed under the residential if it was a full-on residence. So the setback would be right to the line. So on the
Because we're not reviewing this from the only thing that we're considering is the variance of use, right? And because of that, we're not kind of privy to the setback implications of were it to be considered a residential.
If it was considered residential, this fits within the setback limitations. So on the west side, there's like a kind of a 4-story condo development that goes along the street, and we're actually about, I think, 12 inches or so from that property line, just because that's the existing condition that we're keeping. So this might be a bit bigger because you could just walk through it. And then to the north of us, there's a small building, then an alley, and then the Salvation Army. And so to the north of us, currently our setback there's like a parking lane goes right to that building as well. And so that's where we're putting the elevator, because then we don't destroy the rest of the building. So really, we're not touching the ground for most of it on that north part. We're cantilevering the addition across, as you can see in the image. And it's just the elevator core that comes down that's going to provide that accessible access at the back. And that's at the setback line as well.
In this application, if we're looking at just to extend I go back to the same issue as the non-conforming status. If you're going to say approve it, means that you do not actually need to meet any zoning bylaw setbacks, nothing, right? You can just be building what you propose. Is that right?
Yes.
You agree? Okay.
Yes, and we went through this with the examiners at great length over the last couple of months. So we kind of went back and forth on this and got it to a point where everything was within the setbacks or within the zoning variances. So
Zoning variance is based on what? Based on industrial
On res,
use?
basically.
Based on residential?
Yeah.
Only?
That's what he's saying, yeah.
yeah, so it fits within all those limitations.
Residential was multi-units or single-family housing? Or
Single family.
Then this is a single-family housing, right?
Yeah.
But how could the FSI of this match to a single family density?
The square footage.
Yeah,
That was my question.
There is no limitation on area for residential square footage.
There is.
coverage or FSI.
It fits within the coverage.
Through you, Mr. I think what they're asking you is if it was in a residential zoned property and you could apply the standards, because you can't apply the standards because it's not permitted where it is, what would the variances be? You'd be required to have rear yard landscaping, parking on site, there'd be height restrictions, floor space index restrictions. They haven't been applied because it's not permitted on this site. But the committee wants to know if it were permitted, what would the variances be?
Because you're asking us to permit it.
Right, right.
That's my key thing.
Understood.
You know, just open, give you a blank check, you can just build, right?
Right.
So we just want to know if it were residential zone, which is R whatever, right? There's also R something.
Yeah, and
You don't know any of that stuff.
the parking requirement has been met for the residential, so we allocated that parking on the site. And then in terms of the square footage, square meterage, there is a limitation that we've adhered to within that on the property that the entire area of the whole building matches what's the maximum currently. So.
Where is the parking being located? Sorry, I'm just looking.
The parking's in the north lane. The parking is, so just north of the building, there's not a lane, it's their property that is currently parking, and that's going to remain parking. Yeah, because the addition's cantilevering across the top, it cantilevers across that laneway, and that's where we're placing the parking and where it is currently.
And have you spoken to transportation about the status of that boulevard parking along Richmond?
The boulevard, there's currently boulevard parking on Richmond, and we're not to count that as legal parking currently.
Okay.
And we don't need to, because if it was residential, you need the spot, and we've provided the spot. So
just one spot?
on the site, yeah.
So did you have boulevard parking, or did the owner have boulevard parking before?
There's currently a boulevard parking sign up on the building, and so there is boulevard parking there.
Because the building was not residential before.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And so the one spot we use and need would be in the current spot where we're proposing it, which is on the site.
I'm sorry to keep coming back to this, but the residential FSI that you're proposing is 3.4 times. And I don't know of any residential base zoning that allows that level of coverage. Usually it maxes out at 0.6 or 1. The ones that are higher have to go through a rezoning to get to that. So that's what I'm trying to say about not necessarily meeting what it would be if this were zoned what you're intending it to be. Do you know what I mean?
Also my issue, going back to that, as if we allow this extension of the non-conforming status, without knowing what we are extending to, because you say that this is single-family residence. But as we know, residential zoning, there are many different categories, right? I just wonder whether duplex or triplex or fourplex is that also allowed? We do not know because we're not knowing what because we do not have the residential zoning detail in front of us. Basically, we only reviewing what you propose. It does not mean that that is what a residential bylaws allow. We do not know though, do we?
Just like non-conforming. So just like the non-conforming status that was provided to the site in 1995, the approval of this site as residential, single-family home residential, the same qualifiers can be applied to that approval. And so, like Luke has explained, there is no interest, no intention of doing that, but it can also be limited by saying this is a single-family home, not to be carved up into a duplex, triplex.
Anybody have any further questions? Thank you.
I still, my standpoint is still the same. I'm not really satisfied whether it's safe to extend the non-conform. I have no problem really with the design, with the massing in that at the corner. But what I am saying, there's something missing in terms of the process of approval. I find that we do not have something that's solid that they say they fit the residential category. So I think it's almost like a rezoning issue. It's beyond the video adjustments.
I would agree. I think this is maybe not the correct process to go forward for approval of this. And it almost presents as a small multifamily building rather than a single family dwelling. And it just doesn't feel appropriate, like an appropriate process for this.
Just like say if the proposal is got a mixed use component to it, I can agree to extend the current status. Since that they actually change it with addition, then to me, logically, you will lose your current status and you have to apply for a new status.
I'm just going to play a little bit of contrarian here, Chair, just because, I think one of the things you can hear from the committee is people are, duly impressed with the design and, what you're planning to do here. Sometimes I think, that we do kind of get wound up a little bit in process and, whether you would have to go and get a rezoning for this, I'm not sure that would be a problem for the neighborhood either. I think it's a suitable use for this area. I think, the kind of use that the OP had originally intended is no longer appropriate for that site. This is a growing, very viable, vibrant area of the city that, we should be encouraging people to live in these areas. And I think it's a well thought out design and it's innovative, and I think it's in keeping with the changes that are happening in this neighborhood. So, sometimes I think we sometimes get bogged down a little bit in process when the outcome is basically the same thing we're going to get either way. So I'm going to say that I would support this.
I'm not sure if we'd get to the same outcome for rezoning or a more detailed kind of examination of the site and its adjacencies, right? 'Cause we're not even considering variance of setbacks, of green space, of soft landscaping, like this kind of thing, which I think are important components to a single family.
I would agree.
Circuiting process. I think not and I don't disagree with in which he says this is an appropriate use for the site and it fits within the neighborhood. But we don't have, in my opinion, we don't have authority to extend the legal non-conforming use because it's not residential at this time, it's mixed use. We can extend a mixed use, you could change it a little bit, you could extend the residential component, or you could extend the industrial component, whatever, but we can't change it. And that's what you're asking us to do, change the zoning. So if nobody has any other comments or questions, perhaps. Okay, all in favor of the motion? All opposed to the motion, Mr. Application refused. Thank you. Number 24, 1013 Cosburn Avenue. The purpose of this application is to establish a parking pad in the front yard of an existing two-story detached dwelling. On this application we have before us material submitted by the applicant, a report from planning, correspondence in support from 326 Westlake, and a 5-signature petition in support from residents of Cosburn. Your name, please.
Anna Crombie. I'm the applicant and the homeowner is here with me.
Yes. Okay. So this looks fairly straightforward, very straightforward. Does anybody have any questions? We have a motion.
Well, are you aware of the condition from planning to requesting to delete variance number 1 in their report?
Oh, yes.
Okay with that?
Well, we tried. I'm not sure which set of plans you have in front of you. Are they dated March 8th? They requested that we make the revision and send it to them, which we did. Cassia, the...
Our drawings are from October 10th.
Would you like to see the revised drawings? Soft landscaping has been added.
Have you deleted variance number 1?
We attempted to. We haven't achieved it, but we've gotten closer.
And what percentage are you showing then for the front yard soft landscape? Yeah.
55.
Okay.
15.43.
So just ways that we understand, so you have an existing driveway, right?
That's correct.
And you were proposing initially to widen that? Is that the plan?
We were proposing to reinstate the driveway now as a...
Or make it legal, basically?
That's correct.
Okay.
And change the landscaping to a new garden bed and walkway.
Oh, so you weren't actually, because one of your supporters kind of intimated that you wanted to park 2 cars side by side.
No, that's not.
Okay.
That's it. Because I was looking for the 2 parking spaces.
Just one parking
You're just looking
space.
for one parking spot, so you had wanted to put a walkway, and what staff are saying is you need to reduce that walkway.
Yes.
Have no more questions.
I think this is reasonable. I would move a motion to approve as amended, 55% front open space, or front soft landscape, which is 15.43 meters.
All in favor? Have your approval. Thank you.
Thank you.
2522 Tarleton Road. Purpose of this application is to construct a new two-story detached dwelling. And on this application, we have material submitted by the applicant, a report from Urban Forestry and support, 4 form letters in support. Your name, sir?
Hi, my name is Mike De Oliveira. I'm here from Replacement Design representing 22 Tarleton.
This looks forward. Does anybody have any questions?
No.
I'll put forward a motion. I had looked down the street. The design is similar to other homes along the streetscape. And I'd like to move a motion to approve. Forestry condition number 3.
I'll second.
All in favor? Have your number 26, 32 Palisades. You're
Hello
still
again.
here. Okay, the purpose of this application is to maintain a one-story front addition and south side addition on a two-story detached dwelling. This is maintain and legalize? In other words, it was built without permission?
No, this is a new application. The side addition is actually just to enclose partial foyer kind of entrance that's off the side of the house. If you look at the first floor plan, you can see there's an existing entrance there, so we just wanted to close that off. And then there's the front addition that's also a porch that we're just enclosing. So there's no extension of any footprint of the current property, minus going over the porch itself. Sorry.
Material submitted by the applicant, we have report from 34 and 35 Palisades and 5 form letters in support. I don't quite understand the language and the purpose. It says to maintain the front one-story front addition and the south side addition and the two-story. So are those there now, the front addition and the side addition?
No, it's currently a front porch, and the side addition is, as I mentioned, just that
So
area.
in other words, you're going to construct it?
Yeah, it'll be a new construction.
Okay, so it
Yeah.
should say construction.
construct.
Is that correct?
Correct.
A new one story.
And filling in the side little hole is for a powder room or something. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
So I move for approval, just change of the purpose clause.
All in favor? Have your approval, sir. Thank
Thank you very much. Good day.
you. 27470 Delaware Avenue. Purpose of this application is to create a secondary suite in the basement of the existing two-story detached house for a total of 2 dwelling units and to construct a third-story rear addition with a cantilevered balcony. And we have before us this application. Material submitted by the applicant, a report from Urban Forestry. We have a 9 form letters in support. Your name?
My name is Cindy McPhee. I'm the applicant, and our homeowner, Damien, is here today, too.
You're the agent?
Agent, yes.
Okay.
I sure can. Damien and Melanie bought the house in 2014, and the condition of the house was as is, like it's presented on the floor plans for the basement. and the ground floor. Our hope for this application is for the third floor addition. I know it reads in our zoning notice that we are planning on constructing for the front alteration. However, that was as purchased in 2014, and it is our intent to leave as existing. So you can see on the front of the house in the plans, it is an existing door that's there in the basement. It is an existing condition where the stairs were removed at the time of purchase. And the only construction that will be happening with this application is the third floor addition. We worked with planning in the fall of 2019, received some feedback from them. There's no planning report, so we're assuming that they were happy with our changes. It was basically the height. We brought down the third story to have zero height at the time. So you will see no height variance on our application. We have visited the neighbors. We have this, I think you said 9 letters of support. We've talked with many more neighbors. So in terms of aware of what we're applying for.
There to move approval, or there is a condition, urban forestry condition?
2, yeah.
Number 2. You're aware of that?
Yes.
Okay.
I'd be willing to second that.
All in favor? Have it approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. 2862 Roxborough Street West. And we have before us on this application material submitted by the applicant, support, 5 form letters in support, opposition from 99 and 81 McPherson Avenue. Okay. And the purpose of this application is to alter the existing 3-story semi-detached dwelling by constructing a rear ground floor deck and rear 3-story addition with rear 3rd-story balcony. The existing rear detached garage will also be abandoned. Okay, your name, sir?
My name's Stephen Hunt. I'm principal with Hunt Design Associates. We're the authorized agents. PH.
Could you just give us a short synopsis of variances?
With pleasure. A number of the variances are recognizing existing built conditions. In terms of the side yard setback to the principal dwelling, we aren't affecting that at all. That's a built condition. Landscape area, in both the front and rear yards, we have a topographical survey which depicts existing improvements to the property over the years. I have another drawing which I could show, but there's some hardscaping in terms of patios and so forth in the rear yard, and there are some existing retaining walls and planter features in the front yard. And so the application sort of recognizes those built conditions. And we could also say in the front yard, we provided a larger front covered porch with stairs, so that also contributed to it. Parking space variance is in recognition of the existing garage depth. The existing garage depth is 5.8 meters, whereas the requirement for a minimum parking space length is 6 meters. Purpose of widening the garage was to accommodate more parking generally. So the idea is to make it a little bit wider. We have some residual space beside the garage that really isn't good for anything. Can't fit a car there. So the intent is to just simply widen the garage, get 2 cars in there comfortably, and to increase the height of the garage a little bit to accommodate parking stacker or parking lift to potentially accommodate even more parking should it be needed. The north yard setback request to the garage, the existing detached garage, is also an existing condition. And the modest increase in floor area for the garage and increase in the coverage also just recognizes the fact that we stretched it in width a little bit. So really, what we're here for, I think, in principle, is the expansion of the protrusion at the back of the existing home, where we've essentially tried to make the space more functional, expanding the house a little wider and deeper, but still within all other zoning regulations. So it's really just, it's not setbacks affected so much as an increase in floor area, which we've asked for. And the floor area is on each level of the house as well, so that's where the numbers come from. Original owners showed sensitivity to this application by meeting with many neighbors. I think you got 5 letters of support. I think a great effort was made to ensure that there wasn't any problems. I think the character of the home, in terms of its overall building form, is compatible with the street. The redevelopment of the garage seems to be very consistent with what's happening on that laneway as well. And with the letters of support, I think this serves to confirm that the application is minor in nature. It's desirable and appropriate for the development of the property and the home. It meets the general intent of the bylaw and official plan.
Anybody have?
Well, just wanted to, you saw the couple of letters about concern over the garage? Did you?
I haven't seen them. I've heard of them. We understand that they're not immediate neighbors, and as I've said, we feel that we're very much in character with what's going on.
Yeah, so what I thought I heard you say was you're widening it, but you're not making it any deeper into the lane. That sounds like that's what the concern of the residents were, is that they're going to move into some of the lane and then cars would have difficulty getting, so that's not in fact the case.
Not the case. So you can see how it's pretty approximate to the garage beside it, and the property has a very unique bump out into the lane. Mm-hmm. But you know, we're not the closest point of that garage to the jet in is being maintained.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks.
Any further questions? Do we have a motion?
I'd move a motion to approve. I think this is a sympathetic new build, and is really, it's not pushing the boundaries more than we would expect. So with no conditions, I move to approve.
All in favor of the approval, sir? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee.
Number 2982 Massey Street, the applicant here. Is there any opposition to Massey Street? Okay. The purpose of this application is to alter a 2-story townhouse by constructing a 3rd-story addition. We have before us material submitted by the applicant and correspondence in support from 123 and 11 form letters in support. Your name, sir?
James Goodall.
Okay, perhaps you could tell us a little bit about this.
Yeah, so I'm the homeowner. I'm also the applicant and prepared the drawings that you have. I live at the house with my wife and daughter, and it's currently a 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath house. Massey Street is basically on the east side, it's all semi-detached houses, and on the west side, it's one long stretch of row houses, which is the side that we're on. And the proposed renovation is basically to take the existing attic space, build out towards the back on the flat roof, and add a front dormer to the front of the house, which is consistent with a lot of the new builds and or renovations that have been occurring in the neighborhood, including on our street. There's 2 or 3 of them. I've included a list of similar renovations that have been granted the similar variances. The variance, we did a zoning review, and the variances that have come back, well, there's 5 different items, or 6 different items. The first 2 items are dealing with a 0.45 meter setback, side yard setback, which in our case, yeah, it's been at a 0 meter setback for over 100 years. And the third variance that we're asking is for the wall height restriction, which is currently 9.5 meters, and we're asking for additional height of, I believe, 79 centimeters. So it's just a little bit above. It's still well under the 12-meter height. The reason for that is because our house is very narrow, but it's tall. So just the first 2 floors alone, as it is, almost exceeds that. The fourth item that came back on the zoning review has to do with the gross floor index, or the square footage, which we're asking for a 0.08 over the allowed maximum floor index. Currently, it's allowed at one times the lot area. And then the last 5 and 6.
The last 2 are old bylaws repeating something.
That, as I understand it, yes, yeah. So,
are there any questions?
No,
All right. We have a motion.
I'd like to make a motion, and I think that this proposal is very sensible and reasonable, and there's only one way is up, and by adding the dormer and all, it's actually more inconsistent with the neighborhood build form. So I move for approval with no conditions.
thank you.
All in favor? You have your approvals.
Thank you. Thank you.
Number 30, 25 Bonnie Bray Boulevard. Purposes of occasion, we have material submitted by the applicant. We have correspondence from planning. We have reports from planning and urban forestry. We have support, a one-form letter, and correspondence of concern, 1 letter. And we also, well, we have a staff report here that we just got this afternoon. Have you seen this, sir?
I have. There is a little bit of confusion about the second staff report, and I don't mind addressing that, sir.
All right, so perhaps you could give us your name and
Absolutely.
first, and then we'll discuss that.
Yeah, Jay Smith, I'm the agent for 25 Bonnie Bray. Worked quite extensively with Stephanie, the staff member, to get this into a place that she could support. It was my understanding in the original staff report, we got it down to variance number 1 being 49.9% and variance 2 being 18.14 meters in length. She was in support of both of those. Yesterday, she had come back, and this is where I'm not exactly sure. She said that due to the deck being under 5% of the lot area, it didn't count for lot coverage. So on the screen, I've broken down what we have as the existing, and then what we're proposing. The dwelling in the shed, as she pointed out, is 42 square meters, or 42% lot coverage, which is what she's referring to, but we still have a deck and we have a small store-bought play structure. So by my math, we're at 49.9, but I'm not sure where that deck falls in. If it's less than 5% of the lot area, maybe it doesn't count against lot coverage. I'm not exactly sure on that. But it was my understanding I needed 49.9. Yeah, I would like to revise it to 49.9 unless the deck is exempt, and I didn't.
So let's go through the variances, and you tell us
Yep.
which ones change and what the changes are?
So number one would be 49.9, down from 52%.
And what's the square meters?
We would be at 110.45 square meters.
Okay.
Item 2, we would be down to 18.14 from 18.62 meters in length. And variance 3 is staying, and that's an existing condition, and they do have street parking.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
With the down to
Question of whether you are okay.
Well,
That's what
yes.
he's asking.
that's,
He's
yeah.
I
amending.
don't think there much.
Yes, they've asked for 42.
Yeah, he says he doesn't know where the figures came from.
I have an
842.
I have an email where she said the deck was under the 5 square meters, and it all happened yesterday, so it was very quick. But the 49.9 was in your original staff report that we had gotten to.
It is, yes.
So you say the deck is not under 5.
It is under 5%. I just can't guarantee that it's still not needed for lot coverage.
Yeah.
2%.
Yeah, it's not make any impact for the variances.
So I'd move a motion to approve subject to
Amend.
urban forestry condition number 1.
Yeah, as amended.
As amended.
As amended, yes.
Yeah, I'll second that.
All in favor? Have your approval, sir.
Thank you very much.
Back to number 22, 135 Glen Road.
Good afternoon, committee. I'm Peter Higgins of Peter Higgins Architect Incorporated.
Mr. Higgins, I had to find you. So
Oh, I beg your
now.
pardon. I started too soon.
Purpose of the application is to alter a 3-story semi-detached dwelling by constructing a 1-story rear addition, a 1-story side addition, and a basement walkout. And on this application, we have material submitted by the applicant. Comments, correspondence from planning and heritage preservation, a report from heritage preservation, correspondence and support from 2 addresses on Whitney, and correspondence and concern from 1 resident on Whitney. Are you here, sir, in opposition? 7. Okay. Thank you. All right, go ahead, Mr. Higgins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, the hearing notice and the green sign had a typo. 3 of us in the office checked these notices. We didn't notice it because we're concentrating really on the variances. It says to alter a 3-story semi-detached dwelling. You read that out. In fact, it is a detached dwelling. It's not a semi-detached dwelling. That did cause some concern to the neighbor at 7 Whitney, and we wanted him to hear that if you make a decision in our favor, that it will read as a detached dwelling, single-family detached dwelling, please. We hand-delivered 13 architectural information packages. We received 3 letters of no objection. One of those letters simply stated that while they didn't object to any of the variances, they weren't keen on the proposed circular driveway, which itself is not a variance. The addition is only 43.5 square meters. The proposed, and it's only 1 story, so it's not a large addition. It is a large house. It's a very formal house. My client has 4 children. They couldn't be here today, Matt and Michelle McGraw. They've lived here for approximately 3 years with their 4 children. And they would like to simply have a main floor family room, and that's what this is. The building length is 20.8 meters versus the allowable 17. You should know that the existing house is 18.4 meters, and the existing house has lots of jogs and setbacks which minimize its massing. But it is a big house, there's no question. It's a big, old, handsome Rosedale red brick. The addition is virtually invisible from either street. As you're aware, this house is on a corner, very visible corner of Whitney and Glen Road. The depth at 25.8 meters versus the allowable 19 is due to the fact that the neighboring structure, the only neighbor because it's on the corner, which is Rosedale United Church, has their building corner right at the property line. That's so I can't see. Just off the page, over here, corner of Rosedale United Church. Here, right on the front street line or property line. So we have to take our dimensions from there. So our measurement, instead of being taken from the sort of typical 6 meter setback, is taken from that line. Hence, together with a diagonal dimension, it exacerbates our depth measurement. The existing house depth measurement is 19.65 with the addition attached. So it's only 0.65 greater than the allowable. Lastly, the rear yard setback of 1.2 meters versus the allowable 7.5. It matches the existing rear yard setback, which is 1.2 meters. Due to the nature of the lot and the placement of the existing house, the setback, or the house is set back into the northeast corner of the property. We have an enviable situation of where is the backyard? This is actually the smallest dimension, so normally this should be the backyard, but we're so close here, we'd still have a variance. Zoning has determined this to be the backyard. The existing house has a 1.2 meter setback here. We're matching that with a one-story addition, and it increases to 3.2 meters this side. There is no objection from either the church or the manse, which is part of the church property immediately to the east. And we have been dealing with heritage. We've been dealing with arborists and forestry from day one because it's a beautiful property with huge trees, many trees. And we think that it's a very small addition, and yet it will fulfill the requirements for my clients with their growing children to have an at-grade family room. Thank you.
Would you come to the podium, please?
Pardon? Sir, would you like to come up? Turn.
My name is Ian McDonald. My wife Dorothy and I have lived at 7 Whitney Avenue across the street for the past 55 years. And I'm here wanting clarification on 4 technical points. The first is the description of the house as semi-detached. I understand that was a clerical error, and that's looked after. Secondly, will there be any destruction of mature trees on that property? We've had fair ravage of trees in recent years. Thirdly, how many driveways are permitted for a single dwelling? There's already a substantially wide driveway on Glen Road. And with respect to that, although we would prefer not to have a driveway with 2 ends coming out right across the street from us, we don't expect to be there for another 55 years, but there are important usages, particularly the church, and there's already a parking problem there and a high frequency usage on Whitney Avenue. During the 15 minutes that it takes me to cut the front lawn, I've counted anywhere from 42 to 50 cars going up and down that street. I've compared it with comparable streets in the neighborhood, and it's far in excess of any of them. So that would add another outlet, double outlet of traffic. And my concern is not for myself, but for the church, really. There is already limited parking in the area. This would diminish the parking available to the church for funerals, weddings, and regular church services. And sometimes I noticed people, some of them almost as old as me, parking half a mile away in order to access the church. And the fourth point is, how would this change, if at all, the heritage, the grade of the heritage designation on the property? And those are the four things, Mr. Chair, the first having now been clarified. Thank you.
Forestry not reporting any problems with trees being destroyed. That should answer that. So, urban forestry is not reporting any problems with destruction of trees or anything of that sort. With respect to the driveways, they don't seem to be no parking seems to be part of the application, so the driveways, as I understand it, are existing.
Permitted.
No variance needed.
Existing, but it's.
Yeah.
No, the circular driveway isn't existing.
Correct.
Oh,
Permitted as of.
okay. As of right, you can do that.
Yes.
You can't, yeah. What was your last point?
Heritage.
Heritage. Well, Heritage has reported, and they're happy with the changes that Mr. Higgins and the owners are making.
Heritage will review the plans prior to the building permit being issued, and it has to be to their satisfaction.
Share the heritage report with.
Be happy to,
Daniel?
yes. I'd be happy to.
Yeah, there's a heritage report already.
I have a question. That is a lot of driveway. That circular driveway, it's a lot of driveway. Are you planning on doing any kind of permeable paving or any kind of more permeable surfacing in the driveway?
Yes, of course we are. That's really the city's standard these days, and we will be doing exactly that. There's a lot of driveway, but it is narrow. It's only 2.7 meters wide. It's 9 feet and a bit. There is also a lot of property. There is a lot of green space.
There is.
There is no variance is required for any front or side or rear, even rear landscaping. I would like to just point out, those of you who do not know the property, it's on Glen Road, which is a very busy street, fast-moving street, also a bus route. Our neighbor, Mr. McDonald, did mention that there is a fairly wide enough driveway that goes to a two-car garage. The problem is that the entrance here is absolutely tiny, and the mudroom for a family of 6 is also tiny, so we're trying to sensitively rework the interior so as to have a proper mudroom, kitchen, pantry, and of course a family room. The Heritage seems to be on side with us taking this, which was a library and still to be a beautiful wooden room, to allow us to have an entrance here off Whitney. Partly Heritage, I was surprised Heritage agreed to it, but I believe it's because the house is in fact so stately. The existing entrance is a little one-story corner, which is unbelievably tiny. And my clients always thought of having an address on Whitney. They're asking for that change of address. They do have a lot of frontage on Whitney. The driveways are narrow. Yes, it's a circular driveway, so there will be the potential for a bit of loss of space, although typically you're not supposed to park here anyway. I am a churchgoer at Rosedale United Church. Not every week, but nevertheless, I do park some blocks away and walk, as do most people. So while I understand Mr. McDonald's concerned about loss of parking, I don't think it's a big deal. And as I said earlier, the church does not have any objection to this proposal.
Visitors off in drive.
Yes.
There will be some.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. Some mitigating circumstances for those who arrive at their home, they can park on the driveway, yes.
Does anybody have any?
I'd like to put forward a motion to approve. This is a big lot, and I think all the variances proposed are appropriate. And I'm satisfied with the reports back from Heritage. And I'm happy to see that we didn't get anything back from trees, and there's no trees being affected.
Yep.
Seconder?
Yes, subject to Heritage comments, which ask that the plans be reviewed prior to building permit.
All in favor? Have your- Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good day, everyone.
Okay, we're now at the 2:30 list. I'm going to vet the list. Number 31, 171 Scarborough Road. Applicant here? Nobody's here. Okay. Number 32, 456 Crawford Street. Applicant? You're the applicant? Fine. Are you? Okay. So we'll hold Crawford Street down. And perhaps you could go out in the hallway and see if you can resolve your differences. 33, 475 Brock Avenue. Pardon, you have a...
I have a comment on that.
Okay. You're the applicant, sir? All right, any opposition to Brock? Yes, okay, we'll hold that one. You can go out in the hallway and try and resolve your differences. Number 34, 772 Manning Avenue. Yes, any opposition to Manning? 35, 935 Gerard Street East. Yes, any opposition to Gerard? 36, 21 Silver Avenue. Yes, any opposition to Silver Avenue? Number 37, 239 Borden Street. Yes, any opposition to Borden Street? Are you opposed? Okay, we'll hold that one down. You could go outside, see if you can resolve your differences. 38, 113 McPherson Avenue. Yes, any opposition to McPherson? Okay, number 39, 53 Riverdale Avenue. Applicant, any opposition? You're together? Yeah, okay. Is that the list?
Yeah, we take appointment, right?
Okay. Let's start with number 31, 171 Scarborough Road. Just hang on while I find it. Okay, the purpose of this application is to alter the existing two-story detached dwelling by constructing a rear two-story addition. And
It's been
And all we have on this application is material submitted by the applicant. I don't believe we need a presentation. Does anybody have any questions, or do we have a motion?
I have a motion to approve it. variance being requested at context. So motion to approve, no conditions.
I'll second that.
All right, all in favor? Have approval. Thank you. Skip ahead to number 34, 772 Manning Avenue. Purpose of this application is to alter the existing two-story semi-detached house by constructing a front basement walkout and creating a secondary suite in the basement for a total of 2 dwelling units. And on this application, we have material submitted by the applicant. We have correspondence and support from 2 addresses on Manning and correspondence and concern from 1 Manning Avenue property. I don't believe we need a presentation. Does anybody have any questions? Oh, yeah, we need your name, sir.
My name is Jim Carter Hoffman. I'm a registered architect in British Columbia. My daughter has owned and lived in the house for the past year. I'm representing her.
You came all the way from British Columbia to represent your daughter? Thank you. Your daughter thanks you, too.
I'm going to have to charge you for this. Do you want me to go ahead with a little presentation?
I don't think
we need a presentation. It seems very minor.
And I think that this kind of addition or alteration happens quite frequently in the area.
Okay.
And as no other discussion needed, I'm going to move a motion for approval, and there's no conditions.
Seconder? All in favor?
Thank you.
You can go back to British Columbia. Thank you.
You want to stay long?
Number 35, 935 Gerrard Street East. Purpose of this application is to alter the existing 2-story semi-detached dwelling by adding a rear 1-story addition. On this application,
Good afternoon. My name is Tony Henriquez. I'm the applicant.
On this application, we have material submitted by the applicant. Now, tell us your name, sir.
My name is Tony Henriquez. I'm the applicant for this application.
Again, I don't think we need a presentation. Seems to be fairly straightforward. Does anybody have any questions?
I'll move a motion, Chair, to approve, and there are no conditions on this, correct?
No, yeah.
So I'll just make a motion to approve it.
And I'll
All in favor? You have your approval, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 36, 21 Silver Avenue. And the purpose of this application is to alter the existing 2-story townhouse by constructing a 3rd-story addition and a front porch, rear deck, and a rear detached garage. And on this application, we have material submitted by the applicant and staff report from Urban Forest.
Oh.
Your name?
My name is Bree Johnson, principal of Silver Studio and homeowner.
Okay.
okay.
Okay. So it doesn't, we've only got three variances plus 2 old one. So does anybody have any questions?
Just me, Chair. I always ask this when there's an addition to a semi. Have you talked to your adjacent?
Yeah, both of our attached neighbors are in support.
Okay.
They just didn't write us letters, but we've met with both of them and they're very happy. One of our attached neighbors is actually letting us live in their house during the construction, so we're all on good terms.
A quick question. In your proposed garage, there's washroom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't have a ground floor powder room, and we spend a lot of time outside in the summer. 'cause
Right,
our
this
house
was
is so
the one,
tiny,
yeah.
and that's just basically
Yeah.
convenience.
So you wanted it to be quickly available from
Yeah.
the finished backyard.
And variance number 1 is actually an existing condition, right?
Which one is number 1? The distance between. You know what? I didn't really. So it's a 2 meter. It's a 2 meter requirement between the and we have only. I can't remember. I think it's 0.9 between the setback part, and 0 is the existing condition. Yeah, it's a townhouse, so it's got a shared wall on the property line.
Anybody have any further questions?
I'd move a motion to approve. I think that the design is sensitive, and I think the massing pulled away to the back is a good idea for the street and the neighbors. So motion to approve.
It's a forestry.
Oh, yes, urban forestry condition number 2.
That just come in today because I was checking and I checked it last night. I didn't see anything.
It's there.
There is.
It's fine. You can.
So,
It's a regular.
Do we have a second?
Yes, then I second that.
Thank you.
All in favor? You have your approval. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we skip ahead to 38, 113 McPherson Avenue. So this application is
Homeowner. No.
Hold, all right. The purpose of the application is to construct a new one-story addition and basement walkout to the rear of the existing 3-story semi-detached dwelling. And on this application, we have material submitted by the applicant, and we have a lot of support from people on McPherson. Okay. So this is pretty straightforward here. Does anybody have any questions?
Just the same thing, is a semi, right?
Yes.
So the adjacent?
Yeah,
Are you
we've
aware?
reached an agreement with them. Yep.
And they're at 111, is that right?
Yes.
Because I noted that we hadn't heard anything from them.
It's been going back and forth, just about construction issues. By the way, I'm Monica Kuhn. I'm the agent.
I have no issues on this one, and I think it's just a logical proposal. And a move for approval, there's no conditions either.
No.
All in favor? Have your approval, sir.
Thank you very much.
Number 39, 53 Riverdale Avenue. Is to alter the existing 2-story semi-detached dwelling by constructing a rear second-story addition, rear ground floor deck, and a rear detached garage. And we have before us this application just material submitted by the applicant. Your name?
My name's Janice Lee. I'm the agent and the homeowner. Yes, we'd like to match the existing addition that was built 40 years ago by 89 centimeters.
And next door, you mean?
Pardon?
Next door.
We have an addition that extends beyond the 17-meter allowable depth.
Oh, this is existing condition.
It is.
Okay. Do we have any questions?
No.
Anybody? We have a motion.
I'll move. I think this is as close to a technical variance as we get. So move to approve with no conditions.
I'll second that.
All in favor? You have your approval. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great.
Okay, we have to go back 32, 456 Crawford Street. Crawford Street here? Okay. Application is to alter a two-story semi-detached dwelling by constructing a two-story rear extension and establishing a secondary suite in the basement. And on this materials. One form letter in support and one letter in opposition from your adjacent neighbor. All right, your name, please.
Good Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Tatiana Pejevic and I'm a designer and the agent for the owner. After submitting a proposal for a zoning review, we received a zoning notice with 3 variances.
Could you speak a little slower, please?
Yes, of course.
And a little louder.
After submitting our plans for a zoning review, we received a zoning notice with the 3 variances. One is south side setback, the other is rear yard setback, and the third one is proposed floor space index. I would mention that our proposal for the rear extension is totally in line with the existing side walls. It appears that existing house is not absolutely parallel with the side lines, and that's resulting, in fact, in this variance of 1 centimeter less than it is existing side setback of 1 meter and 7 centimeters. So it's just a difference of 1 centimeter caused by this not totally parallel position of the house. The other variance, which is referring to a rear yard setback, is also due to irregular shape of the backyard. If we look at this, in a shorter line, the rear yard, but the other line, the rear, is in fact is the back of the garage. So one distance towards the closer part of a rear property line is this one, which causes variance. The other one is 15 meters and 16 centimeters, which is more than double. And the third variance of 0.91 is caused, we believe, due to 2 factors. One is that the existing site area is 219 square meters, and the overall square footage of the house is 199 square meters, which is obviously, according to these numbers, the house is modest size. But balance between those 2 numbers gives a ratio of 0.91. I would mention also several projects that were already been approved at the Committee of Adjustments with the similar numbers regarding floor space index or even higher. So we have examples like in the same street, 363 Crawford Street, which is approved with 0.99, then also 581 Crawford with 0.92, or in the vicinity also Montrose Avenue 164 with 1.17 value. So the owner of the property received a letter of support from her neighbor on the north side, but we are, of course, also aware of the letter of opposition from the neighbor on the south side. I had the opportunity to talk with the owners of this property a few minutes ago and to discuss several factors which affect this project. In some area we had agreement, and of course in some areas we have certain disagreement. I would address concerns which are expressed in the letter. Privacy concern.
You speak into a microphone.
Yes.
Or speak much louder.
One of the concerns is privacy concern, and I would maybe compare current look of the house and the proposed situation that we have. In the current house, we have deck on the main floor and a terrace on the second floor, which of course, although it may comply with the zoning which allow terrace on each level up to 4 square meters, but what we have in the proposal it's a rear elevation that is showing no any terrace on the, especially on the second floor. So we believe that this is also diminishing privacy issue which may appear and exist in the current situation. And regarding this, I would also mention that house is not longer than it is allowed according zoning bylaw. So we see that the house altogether with the addition is 16 meters and 99 centimeters, while allowed maximum is 17 meters. So the house is not projecting more than it is allowed. If we remind ourselves also on the situation on the site plan that we had previously, we can see in fact that the neighbor 454 is even projecting more into a backyard than even the proposed house. On the other side, regarding also privacy issues and view, is that according to zoning, the house could have been tall up to 10 meters. We have currently, in fact, the proposal is showing house which remains with the height which is existing, especially we see that is the front portion of the house. The rear addition which follows flat roof is even smaller. It is 6.90 meters, which means in fact that the whole addition is 3 meters lower than it could have been up to 10 meters. So we believe that we are not going beyond zoning boundaries in this way. And one of the concerns was also sunlight during, of course, months. So we did some analysis which is on a day when the daylight is the longest, and that is June the 22nd. So on that day, which is the longest day with the longest daylight, we see in fact position of the house 456, for which we are doing this proposal for the extension, which is on the north, and the house 454, which is on the south. And it appears that generally there is no shadow on the house which is on the south side. So we believe that those three proposed variances are not causing major issues or not at all maybe for the neighbors, and I hope that they understand the part of the analysis that we did, and also that 3 proposed variances can be considered as a minor, and we hope that we can have your approval.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hear from the neighbor.
My name is Aaron Barnett. I'm here with my wife Sonia. We are the owner occupants of 454 Crawford Street.
Is that attached to 456?
No, we have a shared laneway. We are semi-detached with 452.
Okay.
Okay. So, the observing of the bylaws notwithstanding, the fact of the matter is that our house has, given that we are connected on the south side, we have very few exposures to any kind of sunlight. Front being one of them, which faces east, the side which faces north, which is the main issue we're having right now with the proposed extension, and then of course the back, which faces west. So I understand one of the points we had talked about was a possible impediment on the shared laneway. I understand that this is still within their rights. That's fine. But that being said, this extension will definitely cut out not only sunlight, but our straight across view, which goes as far as Dewson Street from our bathroom. It will impede on the view and the sunlight coming into our master bedroom in the rear, as well as the dressing room, which is part of our extension. Now, just a quick side note, as far as the lady that just spoke talked about our house going a little further back into the lot than 456. The way our 2 houses are situated, they're actually on a curve, Crawford curve. So in fact, their house goes out a little bit further in the front than ours, 11 feet or so, and ours goes a little further back. That's to basically facilitate the curve. So, we've been in this house for 15 years. It's a family dwelling. The entire time that we've been there, 456 has been a rental property. So, obviously our concern is we're there for the long haul. Based on some very brief conversations we've had with the owner, our concern is that this is something that's going to be amended. They'll live in it for a couple years and then possibly move. So, again, we don't want to inherit that. We're there for the long haul. I do think it's also important to point out that the one letter of support from 458 is in fact her mother-in-law. So I think there's a bit of a vested interest there. But, again, we understand that people want to do things and improve their homes. As I said, this is a rental property, and, it just seems that they're trying to make it large and new. So, sorry?
Can I add something?
Yeah, sure.
In terms of what has happened to that house over the last 15 years that we've done, we have spent quite a bit of money in adding curb appeal to the house. So we've added gardens in the front, we've added gardens in the back, and we've set it up much nicer than when we bought the house. But that house next to us has never changed. Their plot of dirt in the back is nothing but weeds, which impedes on all the gardens all around.
Jurisdiction over upkeep.
Okay, that's fine, but even though that it's within the variance, can we still not object to the way that this house is going to be built? If we have a blockage of sightline, if we have a blockage of light, as my husband said, the neighbor on the other side is actually her mother-in-law. When she did her renovation of a very, very small addition, that was a 2-year renovation that we went through. So for this new renovation that's going to be much larger, I'm afraid that it's going to last longer than 2 years.
Variance. But people can build as of right so long as they fit within the bylaw. And if it obstructs your view or causes shadows or blocks your sunlight, you can't do anything about it.
But one thing though, your property is on the south side of the proposed.
Correct.
Yeah.
How does that block in your light? I can't. Isn't it
Because
the sun comes from the east and then south? And
No, we have a few windows on the north side. We do get light from that side, but once that wall goes up, we're going to lose that light.
Coming out rainy, the sun comes out rise on the east and then comes south and then no.
We have a
I'm not
view.
Yes.
Sure
We get light through those windows, even though we're facing north, we get daylight through those windows.
But you have a laneway in between too. I don't know the shadow will cast on your north windows. I just don't see
I
it.
think they're talking about sky view and.
Then there's ambient light. Then,
ambient light.
Yeah, so.
And views.
Yeah, so it's not sunlight. I mean, but you still have the laneway protecting that
Giving
light.
some separation, yeah.
I just try to understand physically, that's all.
So once they build that, they're going to have windows, they're going to have access on 3 sides. We're going to lose access, so we're only going to have light and a view from one side.
I don't have any questions.
Okay. Thanks.
You want to respond?
You want to respond?
Sure.
Yes.
I would just add and clarify also one concern which is expressed in the letter, that the right-of-way would be more narrow. The right-of-way, according to survey, is 1 meter and 4 centimeters on the north side and the same value on the south side. So the house is not encroaching into a right-of-way and it's going to stay as is. And when we are talking about projection into a backyard, yes, it is curved and the houses are staggered, but that is when we are looking what is the overview from the house and the property or for 54. It's more towards the neighboring properties than the current and the future proposed house will have in this case. And I would just again mention that the house is not longer and significantly lower than it is allowed according to zoning bylaw. And we believe that we are mostly in the zoning requirements aside of those 3 which are resulting from the existing, mostly from the existing conditions. Thank you.
Already expressed I don't think the shadow will be created by that addition. It will. I don't believe so. Yeah,
I understand that it will be darker inside, but
Yeah.
I think that the fact that it's not going deeper than,
Mhm.
and then it's allowed, right? In terms of depth of the house. Permission.
Seems kind of minor.
Yeah, to me, it's you meet the 4 tests. In my view, yeah. So I will second your motion if you move.
I move a motion to
Yeah.
approve.
Yeah. I second that motion.
Second it.
Yeah.
All in favor? You have your approval. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Number 33, 475 Brock Avenue. Oh, yes, yeah, you tell us for the record what your.
Yes, I live in the vicinity of this application.
Purpose of this application is to construct a new 3-story detached dwelling with a front basement walkout, a front 3rd-story balcony, rear 1st and 3rd-story decks, and a rear detached garage. And on this application, we have material submitted by the applicant, a report from planning, and 1 letter of concern. Okay, your name, sir.
Hello, good afternoon, Chairman and committee members. My name is Eddie Perez. I'm here on behalf of the owners and the designer. As you said, we're proposing a 3-story detached house. We got the memo from planning. Their thing was to tie it to the drawings, and we're fine with that.
just one question for the soft landscape variance. You have not met that one. Are you reducing it from the existing, or you just the existing is more or less the same as you proposed?
Yeah, it's more or less the same as the
So
proposed.
it's already
Now there's actually more hard surface. Now we'll have more green space.
So yeah, because that's the one. Yeah.
So you're improving the situation.
Yeah, there's hard surface. There's the open space is about the same. A little bit more now open space, but there's a lot of concrete back there.
Yes, I'm thinking about I'm talking about the front yard.
Oh, the front yard, we're improving it because we're pushing the house back. The house is closer to the street line right now.
Okay. Oh, that,
We're actually pushing the house farther back.
yeah. Mm-hmm. I
Do
don't.
we have any? Thank you, sir. Hear from your neighbor.
The neighbors.
Are you the opposition? Oh, yeah, okay. I'm sorry.
Good afternoon, Chairman and committee. So I'm representing my father, Joaquin Texera, who's the resident of 477 Brock.
Mm-hmm.
It's Bruno Texera. I'm just translating because he doesn't speak English, and he's hard of hearing as well.
And what's your father's name?
Joaquin Texera.
All right, tell us what your father's.
Okay, so there's a few variances that we're concerned about. The first one being the height of the front and rear exterior main walls.
Number.
That's number one.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just concerned about, again, the sunlight. We have a porch and we have a backyard. He has a garden in the back, so he's concerned about the sunlight. Yeah, no.
Okay, what other
Okay.
concerns?
Number two, the depth of the detached dwelling, they're asking for 1.2 meters extension. For the same reason, we're concerned about the sunlight in the porch and the backyard as well. The variance number 4, the detached dwelling would be located 0.39 meters from the north side lot, so that would be closer to my father's property line. He's quite concerned because he's worried about his brick. His home is over 120 years old. He may need to do repairs and get back in there. It's a detached dwelling, so he's concerned that that would minimize access to the wall.
Father has on his side?
I'm sorry?
Do you know how much room your father has on his side?
Currently, I don't know. Sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
The variance number 6, the landscape, we were concerned of if there's a decrease in green area or green space. We're just concerned from an environmental perspective on that.
The applicant said he actually increased the soft landscaping in front because he moved the house back.
Okay.
But maybe in the back, I don't know whether he reduced
Yeah.
it or it's the same or whatever.
Yeah, so variance number 7, I believe that is the back rear yard and the soft landscaping being reduced to 33%. We're concerned about that as well.
May not be reduced. It may be, it's less than required.
Right.
But it may not be reduced from what it is.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
And structure. And that's it. Those are our concerns. Thank you.
Okay.
Address,
Yeah, as per the main walls, they're counting it, as I put the elevation, they're counting it to the top. You're allowed 10 meters to the top in Toronto, but the thing is, we didn't put a pitch roof. So if we were to put a pitch roof for the gutter and brought it down, we could make it comply, but then it would be closer to the neighbors, because the gutter would be right on the property line. Because this lots are very narrow, so we didn't want to go that route. So we went straight up, so that's why we have a main wall. And planning doesn't have any issues with our main wall. Also, the length of the building is only on the second floor level, because as you see, the bedrooms are not that big, so we extended that little portion at the back, at the top. Just that portion is over in the length. The bottom portion is fine, and the third floor, as you see, is fine as well. So
the second floor at the back is got an overhang.
that overhang is the portion that makes it go over the 17 meters, correct?
That's the,
how much
That's,
is that?
pardon me?
How much is that?
1.2 meters over. And it sort of treats like a roof over the veranda as well, right? So if we were to do a roof over the veranda, it would almost be the same impact as what we're proposing.
It wouldn't count.
yeah,
Yeah, and it would be the same impact.
So your neighbor is concerned about shadow because this overhang is on the second floor and also is extending back to the backyard. Can you address that? Whether it
Yeah, our house is a touch longer than theirs, as you see on the survey.
because it's a second floor overhang, I just think that maybe it will be an issue.
Our house comes up to here, so ours is just a touch longer.
Yeah.
Not that much longer.
That is representing the overhang already, or just one floor?
No, that's showing the overhang there.
That's
The dotted lines is showing the first floor is the dotted lines.
Yeah, the first floor is aligned with their house. Okay.
Yeah, so it's pretty close.
Yeah, so that's why I'm concerned. I thought that that is the ground floor, and then you're going to extend even more.
No, that's showing the whole length of the building. It's not.
What's the height of the current house with the peak? Do you know?
The current house, I'm not sure. I have pictures here anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a lot of three
Just
stories.
wondering how much higher you'll be going relative to the current peak on the existing house.
I have the picture.
There's a rather tall house right next to it as well.
Tall houses there. There's this is the neighbor that. This is the house.
Was your house going to be as high as your neighbor's?
Yeah, about that. Maybe even.
That's what I'm trying to get at, yeah.
Yeah, approximately that height. And there's a whole bunch of other ones across. They're all 3-story. There's a lot of 3 stories common in the area.
Sorry, the gentleman in opposition, you're living this one here?
No, they're across the road.
Oh, pardon, which one do you?
You live in this house here.
Oh, so you've the recently rebuilt house.
Renovated.
Okay.
The facade, they renovated the facade.
Okay. See. So that for I see.
Cantilevered portion of the second floor.
That,
What's inside? Does it extend the bedroom or is
yeah, it's a bedroom. As you can see, I'll put the floor plan. The bedrooms are all they're not that big, so we were trying to incorporate it so that the bedrooms became average size. I'll put it up there. Bedroom in the middle here. Master itself, only 12'6".
Is that the back bed? Is that the back bedroom?
Yeah, that's
The cantilevered, some of it's cantilevered?
Yeah, that's only.
How many bedrooms?
Pardon?
How many bedrooms?
There's 3 bedrooms on that floor. If we take out that 4 feet, that bedroom's going to be like 8 feet. It's not a master, it'll be very small.
Yeah.
So we try to incorporate, that's why we gave it to the second, and we shortened the third, and then first floor complies. What we did,
How wide are these rooms?
the room is 14.6, I think. 14.4 and a half.
The width of the house.
Yeah.
The width is 14.4 and a half. It's a very narrow
So I
Oh,
lot.
just want to summarize my own mind. So the amount you going further deeper into the lot is, what, a meter or so?
Correct.
Beyond the existing-
1.2 on the second floor,
You don't need an overall height variance, you're just looking at a
the main wall.
main wall.
We're not putting any
So
soft,
you're not over the overall total height
no.
requirement.
And from all the pictures I showed you, there's a lot of three stories, same kind of roof lines. I even have another one here that's similar to ours. They're all similar.
Very wide.
That one's a little bit wider. But, I got it backwards. Okay, sorry.
How far back does your house? Oh, I think you showed us.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit further
1.2,
back.
Yeah, it's just 1.2.
In another neighbor letter that we received, the neighbor commented a couple of times in their letter about your front deck. Have you spoken with that neighbor at all?
The owner talked to the neighbor next to her. I'm not sure if she couldn't get a hold of her. No, she didn't talk to her.
So you
But the front portion is improving from what's there. Right now, it's a hard surface.
No, I'm talking about the front deck on the
balcony.
The balcony in the front.
Oh, you're talking about the balcony on the third? Okay, I thought you meant the deck. Sorry. Okay, the balcony. Okay.
Sorry, the front balcony.
Yeah. That's facing the street. It's not even facing any.
I think that was her concern. And
Yeah,
she
but-
said that there was no other houses with similar balconies on the street. It was out of keeping with style.
We can put a privacy fence. That's not a problem.
That's not, apparently the concern is not so much privacy as not in keeping with the
streetscape.
style of the neighborhood.
Okay.
But there's no variance, and a staff report hasn't really mentioned it. And I'm not too sure I will bring it as a.
It's only 4 square meters. It's small.
It's just so you can walk up the.
Yeah, okay. All right, but it's not,
It's not
any of the variances.
No, it's not oversized either. It's a small one. Just
Okay.
And you're facing the street. Cars pass all the time. You're never going to get privacy in the front anyway.
Does anybody, excuse me.
okay.
So, does anybody have any questions, Mr.
No.
Perez? Okay, thank you very much, Mr.
You're welcome.
Okay, we have,
Sure, again, I think when you hear the explanation and I'm satisfied anyways, that the variances in respect of length and height are minor. I get that some people are going to be concerned a little bit about the changes to the third story, but that's, I don't think it's inconsistent with the nature of the development. I think I'd move support and move approval.
And I will
Is there a
second-
condition? Sorry.
No, there's no, I don't see. I will second it, and I agree with your analysis, and I think this will meet the minor, for test, for minor variance.
I think there was a planning conditions, was there not?
Condition, I wonder.
Yeah, they said to.
Oh, there's a staff report to say that tie the.
Tied to the plans?
That to December 9th drawings, 2019, December 9th.
Yeah, we're okay. We're okay with. We're fine with that.
Okay.
Okay, I still will second that.
all in favor? Have your approval, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Number 37, 239 Borden Street. The purpose of this application is to construct a new three-story addition to the rear of the existing two-story detached dwelling. And on this application, we have material submitted by the applicant, we have a report from planning, we have 6 signature petition in support and opposition from 241 Borden Street. Is your opposition here?
Yes, and we stepped outside to discuss. Matt, I had already provided.
Could the opposition come up and sit in this row here? Thank you. Your name, sir?
Draghi Dodevsky. I'm an agent for the applicant.
Okay. Perhaps you could tell us about this.
Sure. It's currently an existing two-story brick dwelling with a one-story addition in the rear. The current owners are looking to expand the home for their needs and add a two-story addition in the rear with a very small three-story addition which simply contains an enclosed stairwell to access the rooftop deck. The variances that are being triggered are extremely minor, and I've gone through them in great detail with the immediate neighbor and explained the forethought and the design that had gone into the design of the addition in order to allow for maximum light to reach the neighboring property to the north. That was the main concern from the neighbor to the north, but she is here, her mother is here, and she could speak for herself if she would like. We did step outside and had a discussion, and I was able to explain all that was done in order to minimize the impact on the neighboring property to the north.
Perhaps. And come back to you if you need to.
Sure.
Thank
Good afternoon. My daughter is the owner of that property, and
your name?
it's Magda Fees.
Right, and your ad.
It's at present at 25 The Esplanade, Toronto, 2815. And my daughter is Marika Fees,
Right.
and she is in Whistler, March Break. In Whistler, it's March Break. It's 241 Borden Street, Toronto.
What are your daughter's concerns?
It was mainly the shadow effect. We have had that home for 50 years, and we've had wonderful sunlight. My daughter did email her concerns to the committee, and so that we were fortunate for those 50 years. But there's progress. Things get built. In that neighborhood, there are existing redevelopments as well, so that our main concern was the impact of light. In the lower area, there's the, you should have the email in front of you, I hope. The kitchen got a lot of light, and the dining area downstairs, and then directly upstairs, it was a bedroom, and again, the washroom area. So that there'll be an impact once that construction is done. Yes. Well, they've explained it to my satisfaction, and if they do the balconies upstairs, I suggested maybe for privacy they have the opaque glass instead of rigid enclosure. So if it's possible.
Sunlight.
Yes. And they explained to my daughter, they've talked to her and explained about the height. They could have gone 3 stories, they mentioned, but they've try to be considerate of the neighbors, and their plan is such that it satisfies their needs and hopefully our needs as far as sunlight goes.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I mean, I rest.
Yes, I can show you the same information that it sent to Marika, the daughter. You could see marked in yellow is a light well that was designed in order to allow for as much sunlight as possible reaching the neighboring house to the north. The addition could have been a straight, blocky, rectangular addition, but instead the design was efficiently done on the interior to only necessitate a 2-story addition rather than a 3-story addition, and be able to allow for that big cutout on the north side that would still provide ample light. I mean, it's not going to be like it was with the 1-story addition in the back, but effort was put in definitely in order to not impede or minimize the impediment on the north. And in the email communication I had with Marika, the daughter, her response was satisfactory to my explanation, and I just explained the same thing to Magda, the mother, as well, so that she would understand our point of view.
Is this a 2-story addition with the stairwell to the 3rd floor?
Yes, so the red is the stairwell, and that's the only thing that's protruding or piercing above the maximum height of the pairs of walls at 9.5 meters. Otherwise, even that 3rd-story stairwell is within the 12 meters height that's allowable with in this area.
Can you talk for a second about the balcony treatment and the opaque glass that was mentioned?
Yeah, we're in receipt of the letter from community planning asking for those conditions to be attached to, should there be an approval, and the owner comfortable and willing to do some kind of privacy, even for their own sake. And rather than it being I mean, it hadn't been discussed, but we would definitely take into consideration what the neighbor had just mentioned about the desire to have it to be opaque glass as opposed to anything else.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I'll move for approval with the condition that there will be privacy screen. Where are they talking about, though? Do I have to stay where?
Well, there's a letter from...
Yeah, it's a letter from planning.
North and south side.
I only have a note here. I didn't go back to the... can you...
North and south side
north, south side, or 2nd floor?
of the 2nd floor and rooftop,
And rooftop, okay.
and that the plans are substantially in accordance with...
And, yeah, and the proposal should, tied to December 10th, 2019 plans.
Yep.
Does.
Yeah.
There was deck and rooftop, no?
Mhm.
I'd second.
Yes.
All in favor? Your approval, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
I should move
That
we go-
finishes the 230 list. We're now going to vet the 330 list. Number 40, 820 Young Street and 2R Bloor Street West. Applicant? Yes. Any opposition? Number 41, A, B, and C, 302 Cosborn Avenue. Applicant, any opposition to Cosborn Avenue? No. 42, 170 Yarmouth Road. Applicant, any opposition to Yarmouth? Yes, okay, we'll hold that one down. Number 43, 52 Elmsthorpe. Applicant, yes, any opposition? And number 44, 273 to 275 Vaughan Road. Applicant? Are you the applicant, or are you opposition? So the applicant's not here. Oh, okay, so he'll be back. Okay, let's start with number 40. 820 Young Street and 2R Bloor. Okay, so the purpose of this application is to obtain consent to sever the property airspace above the existing two-story commercial building, Cumberland Terrace, into two lots for future development. A small at-grade portion along Young Street is located within the easterly conveyed lot. Okay, and so on this application, we have material submitted by the applicant, and we have reports from planning and engineering. What's your name, sir?
Good afternoon. My name's Robert Blunt, and I'm a land use planner at Bennett Jones, and we're the authorized agent for the landowner.
Okay, so perhaps you could just give us a little synopsis of what's happening with this airspace.
Well, probably the simplest explanation is if you look at the property, Cumberland Terrace, as a two-layer cake, the city owns the first layer and our client owns the second layer. They're severing the second layer into two parts, the left side from the right side, or vice versa, the right side from the left side. It's related to a rezoning application that's before Community Council tomorrow. So there's support from the local councillor, obviously all of the departments that are involved with the rezoning tomorrow, and the two sets of comments that you've received on the actual consent application, you can see are pretty simple, and we support the proposed conditions.
Okay, you also have an at-grade portion that's being...
There's a remnant sliver, let's call it, that fronts down on Young Street.
That sliver is probably worth...
That sliver is probably worth...
Toronto.
Yes.
And the park in between belongs to?
Conveyed to.
Well, at grade, it's city land at grade, so that's where it gets hard to explain.
Right.
It's anticipated in the long run that the city will, through future development applications, acquire the middle piece between the towers that are subject to the rezoning application. So this is all contemplated through the rezoning application and the future development.
All you're asking for is consent. No variance.
No variances. It actually, the consent application is addressed through the existing site-specific zoning on the site, and certainly is addressed through the site-specific zoning that looks like it will go forward tomorrow.
How high does this airspace
Yes.
To the moon?
Pardon?
Yeah, probably to the moon or maybe further. Forever.
As high as you can get permission to build.
As high as you can get permission. As high as the zoning bylaw allows.
We did not know that. You can subdivide it into.
Anybody have other questions?
No. I move for approval, subject to the standard engineering, development engineering conditions. Consent, okay, they're not the same thing. Okay. No. The consent conditions and also the development engineering conditions.
And the planning conditions.
You've seen all those, right?
Yes, yes.
That zoning be in full effect.
I should not have volunteered to move this one. Okay.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Have your approval, sir.
Thank you.
Me.
Number 41, 302 Cosburn Avenue. Purpose of this application to obtain consent to sever a residential lot into two undersized residential lots. And on this application, material submitted by the applicant, reports from engineering and urban forestry, and one form letter in support. Your name, sir?
My name's Dino Dutra. I'm the principal of Dutra Architect. We've developed these plans in consultation with your planning staff, working closely with Stephanie Hung. We're looking to develop two semis on a 35-foot lot. A number of variances that we're dealing with include density, height, minimum garage width. It triggered a number of variances, but we've worked for lot area. We're within a very minor percentage in the single-digit category. So we endeavored to work with the typology on the street. There's essentially singles on the street. So we endeavored to make this look like one building, one house. It's an asymmetrical composition, very modern in profile. We pulled the third floor back to make it look like a two-story home. So there was a lot of thought that went into this. Before we were hired, there were previous plans that triggered much more variances. We got introduced to this group and developed a different format. There was a push to increase the landscaping. So what we did is we did an interlock paver where the grass would be integrated into the front yard, and we eliminated the walkway. So we've tried to make it as green as possible and very thoughtful. And we're very pleased with what we came up with. And we garnered a letter of support from the adjoining neighbor. The other ones wouldn't put it in writing, neither with planning. So a non-disclosure means support.
Sure, I can move them on. People are ready unless you want to talk.
I mentioned that the variance is quite minor, and then I think we meet the code as
Considering.
yeah, and the lot is undersized, but it's only by 8 square meters. Yeah.
Okay. Subject to the development condition. One motion. Okay. Let's do it all. A motion to approve consent to sever, subject to development engineering conditions, and motion to approve both sets of minor variances for building, subject to urban forestry condition 3 for.
I'll second.
Thank you very much.
Okay, number 43, 2 Elmsthorpe Avenue. Okay. application. Construct a new two-story detached dwelling with front porch, rear ground floor deck, rear basement walkout, front integral garage. We have before us application.
Good afternoon. My name is Ali Malikzadeh, and I'm
Material submitted by the applicant, report from Urban Forestry, and correspondence, a concern from 50 Elms. Okay, sir, go ahead.
My name is Ali Malikzadeh, and I am an agent architect behalf of the client. This application was before the committee last year. We have a number of the opposition, and we request for the deferral to go back to the neighborhood and then trying to resolve the issue. We had a good communication through Councillor Metlo office with the neighbors, and we successfully resolve all the issue. And then what is before the committee today is the result of that communication and revise the proposal. So overall, we have three number of the variance is a building length, is an overall GFA or gross floor area, and the building height. The way that the building height was mentioned on the variance and the notice of hearing, they're just talking about the 9 meters request, which this part is just a portion of the building above the garage. During the last communication we had with the neighbors, especially number 50 Elmstrop, they want to make sure that this has been specified in the hearing today, and I just wanted to point out on the plan that we have, and hopefully that can be reflected to any approval and decision of the members.
The number of the drawing that you would like referred to.
So drawing number A24 is showing the south elevation, which is on the screen. So the height that we have on the notice of hearing is 9 meters for the flat roof, and then that 9 meters is only for the portion of the story above the garage, and that is the length of that height is going to be 22 feet 6 inches towards to the back of the building. This was very important for the neighbors, especially number 50 Elmstrop, to be a notice in the hearing. The rest of the house, the height is 7.75 meters in a flat roof, and the 9 meters is only for that portion of the height.
Hard with.
Very hard.
Came up with 3 relatively minor variances. We need a motion.
Yeah, I'd like to move for approval with 2 conditions from Forestry, number 2 and number 3. Yeah.
Maybe tie the approval to
To the elevations.
A2,
but also the
2.4.
the front elevation to A2.1 shows the lateral distribution.
2.1 and 2.0, the title, the drawings 2.1 and 2.0.
2.4.
2.4,
Yeah.
2.1 and 2.4. Okay.
And there was some mention condition not.
But they have a flat roof. You cannot, I cannot do that. That's why I didn't make that. No, you can't.
Second. Okay. Have your approval, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I just want to also thank you for all the neighbors and also Councillor Mantlo office for coordinating all this work. Thank you so much.
Number 44, 273 to 275 Vaughan Road.
But we have to go back to Yarmouth, 42, I think.
So number 42, 170 Yarmouth.
Is this on?
Just a minute. We're okay. What? 4? 170. Okay. Is the applicant for 170 Yarmouth here? Okay. Could you come forward, please? The purpose of this application is to alter the existing two-story townhouse containing 2 dwelling units by adding a 2-story rear addition and rear deck. And on this application, submitted by the applicant, a staff report from Urban Forestry in opposition, 3 letters of opposition from people on trust. Okay. Your name, sir?
I'm Raymond Jemba from SGL Planning and Design. I can start? Okay.
It's pretty minor. Anybody have any questions? I don't think.
I have a question. In some of the letters, the neighbors, you were meant, I think this was deferred? Is that correct?
Yes, it was originally.
And you were meant to have an opportunity to speak with the neighbors. One of the neighbors said that you hadn't made any effort to contact them and that the neighbors you hadn't actually met with the neighbors.
So we haven't met.
Respond to that?
So we haven't met with all the neighbors. We've met with 172 Yarmouth, which had the most impact, which is going to be most impacted by this application. And we were able to work out an agreement. And I do believe there was a signature of support submitted, and an email was submitted last night in support as well. We did review the other concerns from the individuals in Shaw, and felt the design had addressed their concerns.
So you didn't speak?
I do not believe we have spoken to any of the individuals on Shaw Street.
Because it was their expectation that somebody was going to contact them, apparently, according to their letter.
Who did you speak to these 2 gentlemen outside?
Plans.
No, but I just want to know if you spoke outside.
After the previous hearing, the idea of the
No,
crowd
did
was
you,
that they would speak to us in
just a minute, did you speak outside today?
Did not.
Okay. You have?
Yes, for the joint neighbors.
Oh, okay. So have you resolved all your, wow, okay. All right, please sit down and let's just hear from these 2 gentlemen. All right, Would you come up first? So give us your name and your address.
Yeah. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and committee members. My name is Chitram Ramwad, and I am the son of the owners, Omade Ramwad and Ramnarayan Ramwad of 172 Yarmouth Road. And we're not going to be opposing this. We did reach out to the architects, or they reached out to us, and we overlooked all of the plans, and we had some concerns of windows overlooking within to the property. That is not the case. We don't have any windows there. We did look at how far the projection of the property was going to come out. There are the extension, and they did actually come back and they revised it slightly smaller. And we've made a recommendation to see if we can have an adjoining wall onto that property, so that in the future, if this is something, we know it's the norm. Unfortunately, this is the norm that's happening within the city. People are building out. There's many different people building out on the street, and we look at it as something that maybe we would probably do in the future. And this is why we agreed to that adjoining wall, so that in the future, this is something we might take part in.
So you're content?
We are content, and we're not opposing this.
Thank you. Sir, could you come up? Let us have your name and your address.
Good afternoon. My name is Fernando Flores Mangas. I live on 1036 Shaw Street. And I'm here representing my family, of course, but also based on the conversation that I've had with my neighbors and the letters of opposition, I feel like I'm implicitly representing the interests of 1034, 1036, 1038, and 1031. The concerns are mainly about setting a really terrible precedent for the area in which our houses lean into the back. We have a fairly nice, I would say, very unique green space that this new development will bite into and clearly set a precedent where neighbors will continue to.
Tell us how your house relates to this particular house.
Sure. So the picture that I have on my phone right there is exactly, I guess, one of the pictures that I took yesterday when the sun is shining straight into our house. The proposed construction will be a brick wall that will block directly into that view. There's privacy concerns as well as the location is really prone to flooding, and these will then again bite into the softscaping area of that region. Just so that you get an idea of, I'm pretty sure you have the letter of opposition that I wrote. There's section 2 mentions the concerns for light. There's a couple images that contrast how it looks now and how it look in the future when these things built. And the picture there also shows where this development will have new windows that look directly into our spaces where we spend most of our time. And the last page talks about the green space that I mentioned earlier, where setting these precedent will enable a large number of neighbors to build in the same manner, and that, I guess, pocket of green is going to turn into I guess more dwelling units.
What number of your house?
My house is 1036, 1036.
Yeah.
It's the one, so if you look at the proposed drawings, is the one that will be completely covered by this new development. The one
directly behind this?
We're directly behind this property. That's right.
But
our property.
You're south, right?
Yeah, you're on Shaw, right?
That's correct. We're on Shaw.
So he's right.
Garages, yeah.
So he's right about there.
Yeah, but they have the wall garages, right? Sheds and all
There are
that.
sheds right there.
Yeah, your main house is on Shaw.
Our house is on Shaw.
Yeah.
The shed is precisely right next to this new property. And what we're concerned is, we'll just lose all that light. The one that you can see in that picture, right? That is, I don't know if you can clearly see anything there.
Yeah, but it's to the, there's a row of shed and the.
Looking out his back.
What you can see, there is a shed covered in snow, and then right behind that shed, there will be a wall now instead of open space.
To block this up.
Did you mention that you thought there would be overviewing from windows? I don't see any windows that would be overlooking in the new construction. So I see windows in the existing, but I'm not seeing in that elevation any windows. Maybe they just-
The plans that we got have that new window right there, and if you put it in the current house, it'll be where that mark is now.
Okay.
On that. Which, I mean, I took that picture from inside my kitchen, so if I can see them, I think they'll see me.
You're mainly concerned about the view, but the light probably will not much affect you because this is quite large. Right. It's causing shadow maybe to the sheds, but not to your main house though, or even the backyard. I don't think you will do it. It's northeast, that side.
Again, that picture is precisely taken from inside the house, and the sun is right behind that shed. I think it's fair to say that the light will come. That's west. That picture is looking west.
Mm-hmm. It's on afternoon, maybe afternoon shadow.
I understand your concerns about the sun and the sky view, but the addition is about 3.5 meters in length. Is that right? Approximately. Yeah. So which is like about 10 feet, and I don't know. I'm just thinking from that far away. I don't know how much of a difference 10 feet would make from the back of your house. You know what I mean? I mean, at least you have some separation. I think that's one thing, but it's not. We see some applications where your whole window would be blocked, kind of. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to minimize your concerns, but I mean, when I was looking at this, I think that's the one thing that made me think, okay, maybe this is okay. The fact that it's just a approximately 10 foot.
I get it. Yeah. I also feel like it's not a single thing. I think it's a combination of factors, both the flooding, the loss of light, the precedent that sets, and the lack of the loss of privacy. I think they're all a combined scenario, and that's why I'm here.
Good. Okay. Thanks.
How close? Any, So the house is still within the rear yard setback. He's not asking for a variation with respect to rear yard setback.
I think that was removed when the revision was made. They cut the...
But we're looking at the application as it is now.
Okay.
And so he's, whatever, he's asking for greater depth, but he's still set back far enough. If it wasn't a townhouse, it could be a house that, most houses have 17 meters setback, although this is now 19.19. But, so he's still got a proper setback at the rear.
I've been back there, and it's fairly tight, but if the bylaw indicates that is a setback, I'll take that. It's fine.
Usually it's 0.5.
More than that.
So this is a two-story.
So it's just going to extend the house to the back to build a third unit, it seems.
It may block some sunlight, like this sunlight. To me, even if you built that.
I'll bring you a picture. It's built. Thank you.
So just to clarify a few points that the gentleman made, I just wanted to provide a little more clarification, and I noted that there were some discussions on privacy, light, FSI, and landscaping and drainage. So my understanding is that drainage would be dealt to the building permit. So I don't think, and that, from my understanding, everything would have to be contained within that site for it to be issued the building permit. As well, we brought the new plans because we want to tie the plans to only permitting 2 units. We're increasing the FSI to permit 2-bedroom units. So 2-bedroom units. We're not increasing a 3rd unit. Landscaping, we're not requiring any variances on. So I think that addresses the greenery. For privacy, I'll actually flip to another drawing. So we are not proposing a new window within the building. We're relocating one window into the existing portion, and that's in accordance with the building, Ontario Building Code, for having light into the living room. Oh, sorry. Apologies. So we are maintaining the flat roof and height of the building, and that's to minimize any impact and the privacy as well for the adjacent owners to the east. So that the gentleman on Shaw Street would be viewing this.
So at right angles to it.
Yeah. So
A shed in front of that, though.
yeah, and the shed is on the other drawing, but in our opinion, the impact between the existing shadow cast from the existing sheds is pretty similar to the shadow that would be casted from this building, the addition.
So just, Peter, you said something about this being 10 feet, the actual 2-story addition being just 10 feet longer than the existing building. Is that correct? So the variance is to include the deck as well, I presume?
Yeah, so it is to include the deck, and that's the rear yard depth. Variance is more of a technical definition because we have to include the surface concrete deck as well as the underground backyard.
So just to confirm, what's the actual
setback from the...
No, the distance of the actual 2-story addition from the existing building.
That dimension.
let me just double check that.
The dimension. 2 point, can we? It's 3.4, is that?
3.4 meters?
That's the dimension up there. Can you read?
3.67.
3.67, no, that's just the building.
Okay.
Which is...
So yeah, just to clarify that the depth variance is a result of having to include the underground basement as well. So really the depth for the 2nd and 3rd story is, let me just make sure I get the right number, around 17 meters.
Right.
Um,
3.7 meters.
3.67 meters.
Which is whatever, 11 or 12 feet.
Yeah, just quickly regarding the FSI, we are increasing that, and I think it's more of a result of it being a smaller lot that it seems so significant. But just in the context of what's been approved in the area, I have a quick little chart that I want to show. Clarify, it kind of shows that in the context of FSI, even though for the lot size and being a townhouse, we're kind of right in the middle between things ranging from 0.77 to above 1 point over the 1 section. As well for the rear yard depth, including the concrete, the above ground deck. We'll show you the... There's definitely been approvals in the area for much greater rear yard setbacks, and that's not even considering that that's including the underground basement and concrete deck. So generally, I do believe this is in keeping with being desirable and minor, and then within the neighborhood. Thank you.
Go ahead.
I'll put forward a motion to approve. I really do think that the variances themselves are relatively minor, and I think he has made some attempts to contact the neighbor, particularly the adjoining neighbor. So I'll put forward a motion to approve. Urban forestry, conditional on urban forestry number 2.
You've seen that condition?
Yes, we have, and we're in agreement.
Jim seconded.
Okay, I can second it.
All right, all in favor? Have your approval, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. 273, 275 Vaughn Road.
Yeah. I think so.
Okay, so the purpose of this application is first to obtain consent to sever the property into 5 undersized residential lots, and then variances for 5 residential lots. And we have before us this application material submitted by the applicant and report from Urban Forestry. Your name, sir?
Good afternoon. My name is Tay Rook, planner for the owners of the property at 273 to 275 Vaughan Road. The application before you today is to facilitate the construction of a pair of semi-detached dwellings and a single detached dwelling as well, resulting in a total of 5 residential units. There currently on the site right now is a single 2-story mixed-use building. The first 25% quarter of the building that fronts onto Vaughan Road is actually a semi-detached dwelling. The remaining rear 75% is actually utilized as a church, which has a total of 200 members in its congregation.
So it's front residential?
Correct, sir. So it's a single building, and you know what? I could put up the picture for you. So that's the front of the building that fronts onto Vaughan Road. So you'll see a pair of semi-detached dwellings. There's currently 4 dwelling units in there, so 2 units in each of these semi-detached units. And the rear of the building, this is the side view on Pinewood. So the rear portion of the building behind the semis is the church that's utilized in that, and the remaining portion of the single building. So it's a mixed-use building that it currently exists today. So the proposal is to demolish that existing mixed-use building to facilitate the construction of these 2 pairs of semis and a single detached unit. So it would be basically an introduction of 1 additional dwelling unit. Currently there's 4 residential units on the property right now, and the resulting would be 5, so 1 additional unit. But just before I get into all the variances, I do have additional letters of support, 3 letters of support that have been received. One from 65 Heathdale, the other from 124 Pinewood, and the third being from, what is it? It's from 190, yeah, sorry, 84 Hume, 8 Hume.
8 humans? 8 humans, that's... Oh, just... Yes. Three letters.
So to get into the variances, the subject site is located at the northeast corner of Vaughan Road and Pinewood. And the area along Vaughan Road is a various mixture of residential dwelling types, single detached, semi-detached, apartment dwellings as well as you go further east. And the proposal is to introduce residential uses on the subject site. To introduce residential uses on the subject site that is consistent with what's existing in the neighborhood today. Sorry. And those properties that have been highlighted are those properties that are not singles, but rather semi-detached apartment dwellings as well. In addition to that, these dwellings do have heights greater than 11 meters that do exist there today, albeit in different residential forms. The proposal itself is to introduce, will have a less massing. So on the screen before you, the red outline is the existing mixed-use building that's on the site right now. You see the proposed 5 residential units that are being proposed in the form of semis and singles. So we'll have less of a massing than what's existing there today. It would also have greater front yard setbacks than the front yard being along Pinewood, which is at the bottom. In addition, it would provide for greater rear yard setbacks, which is at the top, to the adjacent neighbor along Vaughan Road as well. What you also find, the properties, this proposal technically defined under the bylaw is considered to be a 4-story dwelling, and that is a result of the fact that at the entrance, so you'll see where it says proposed porch on the left bottom corner. So at the entrance, you walk in, you walk up the steps to the porch, walk through the front door. There's a landing and then stairs that turn up towards the right or to the left, depending on which unit it is, but towards the dining room or to the main living area or the main first floor. But the bylaw defines that the landing or the entranceway to be a single floor. And as a result of that, this results in the bylaw defining this property or proposal as being a 4-story dwelling. But from a streetscape perspective, when you look at the proposal, it is a 3-story dwelling. In addition to that, the property or the single detached is on the right, that is towards Vaughan Road. You'll notice that there's a bit of a grade difference as you go from Vaughan Road going northerly towards Pinewood Avenue. And there's different height numbers for each of the dwelling units, and that's all as a result of the established grade being a different line for each of the individual properties. And what's been highlighted in blue is the existing building mass, the existing mixed-use building. In addition, what's been highlighted in green is the amount of extent that the height is over the bylaw requirement. And it also should be noted that that portion isn't the entire length of the dwelling. It's only for 2/3 of the top story, which is highlighted in green on the plan before you. So and in addition to that, the reason why we set the top floor towards the rear and having a balcony at the front was to be very cognizant, be very sensitive towards the neighbor to the east in terms of privacies or overlook concerns that they may have. So that's why we put the balcony towards the front, towards the street, where there would be less of an impact in terms of views. In addition to that, we did have a public consultation meeting at the church back in November where residents did attend this meeting. Majority were we're satisfied with with the proposal. The immediate adjacent to the east and to the north, which is to the left, have written in letters of support as well. There were some residents that did raise concerns about traffic and height. However, in terms of use itself, would provide for a less traffic generation in terms of what's existing there today. Currently, right now, as I indicated earlier, there's 200 members in this congregation. At its peak, there's about 30 to 35 cars that would drive to the church to attend mass and such. And this proposal would result in a far less significant in terms of traffic generation or cars on towards us, and specifically on this site. Furthermore, if you look at in terms of the floors, in terms of the building length itself, it's not the full 17 meters. It's actually approximately approximately 9.7 meters. In terms of building length, so it has been designed to be a very modest form of intensification on the subject site. These are not large homes by any means, and it has been done in a way that's been very sensitive towards adjacent properties. And given the context of the neighborhood being a very eclectic mix of residential uses, we do feel that this is an appropriate form of development. In addition to that, there are standard conditions of forestry, which we're satisfied with, in addition to comments from engineering, which we're also satisfied with. We also did meet with planning staff in developing these plans, and they have no concerns with regards to this proposal, as they've not provided any comments as well. If there's any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Thank you. Are you in opposition? Okay, come forward, please.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Sorokin. I live at 195 Pinewood, and I just wanted to say that there are now 5 out of 7 of the houses that are actually opposed to this proposed development. Sorry, I'm a bit nervous. I'm here to represent everybody. So I just wanted to say first that it's a small, quiet side street. And just in response to the church, it's really busy with those 200 members on Sunday, and maybe if there's a wedding, but throughout the week, it's not very busy. I should also say we're in favor of a development, definitely, if some changes are made. You know, in our mind, the church faces Vaughan Road, and they're proposing for 5 houses to all face Pinewood. None are facing Vaughan Road, and I absolutely agree that Vaughan Road is eclectic with, mixed use, and there's everything on Vaughan. But Pinewood, where there's 7 houses, is a small, quiet street other than Sunday. So our issue is really 5 family homes. That's going to bring tons of cars, tons of traffic. The huge terraces that are actually going to infringe on our privacy and noise and everything. So it just feels really too dense. So it's not that we're opposed to houses coming in. We're just opposed to the density of it. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else. Yeah, so just to reiterate, yes, there's 200 members, but they really just come on Sundays. And we welcome it.
Houses on Pinewood? Single-family dwellings?
So there's 7 houses, and at this point 5 are opposed. 1 was on the fence, and she's now opposed.
But they're all single families?
They're all detached, large, single-family dwellings.
But large lots, too, I think.
Yeah, we have large yards, but they are single-family dwellings. So I also worry about the precedent it's going to set to put these semis on the road, which will change the character and the look of the street. It doesn't really match. But mostly our issue is around the density, because it is a quiet street 6 out of 7 days out of the week. If it was facing Vaughan Road, that would be something different, but.
Very little frontage on Vaughan Road.
Right. Well, I guess it was originally 2 houses on Vaughan Road, 273 and 275 Vaughan Road.
So the church itself is on Pinewood, is it not?
Well, the entrance to go in is Pinewood, yes. But as I said, unless there's a wedding or it's Sunday services, it's quiet.
In terms of the use itself, in terms of semi-detached, there are semi-detached units, dwellings that are internal to the neighborhood, and those are these properties that have been. That's north of.
What's that on Vaughan?
It's north of Vaughan, so it's on Claxton. Vaughan Road.
Oh, yes.
Vaughan Road is Claxton. These are internal to the neighborhood. In addition to that, semi-detached dwellings.
Pinewood goes into Claxton.
Correct, sir. And in addition to that, semi-detached dwellings are permitted.
Pinewood doesn't go into Claxton. Pinewood meets Dale and Vaughan.
And then it turns into Claxton. So it does this. But to generalize it, Pinewood does feed into Claxton Road. And that is north of Vaughan Road. That's internal to the neighborhood. The zoning bylaw permits semi-detached dwellings. You'll also note that in terms of the variances, there's no variances for lot frontages for the semi-detached. There is a lot frontage variance for the single detached at 11.47 meters, where 12 meters is permitted. However, given the context and the way it's been aligned, I would suggest to the committee or submit to the committee that it would be somewhat indiscernible. There's nothing in terms of traffic generation that would indicate that this would be too much traffic generation as a result of the proposed. It would be more correct or more accurate to say that this would provide for less traffic generation coming from the site because of the type of use that's currently existing on the property today. In terms of
People in the apartments.
Please, you've had your opportunity. Go ahead, sir.
And in terms of cars that may use Pinewood to either people that may live in the neighborhood or maybe use it as a thoroughfare, that's just part of living in the city of Toronto. And it's not to say that this particular proposal from a traffic generation be too excessive. It would result in at most 10 cars that would be on the properties, assuming 2 cars per unit. And that is still less than what the traffic generation that's generated on the site right now. And those 10 cars would be at certain times, maybe in the mornings, maybe and on the evenings, and also during the weekends. But however, the in and out, I guess the amount of traffic that would occur all at once isn't as significant as what's currently there today. The proposal is a very reasonable proposal given the anomalous situation that's currently existing on the property right now. This is a mixed-use building where it's predominantly residential, and it's something that it's something that is consistent in terms of providing for intensification in a form that where density has been deployed in an appropriate way, the lots have been divided in an appropriate way, all in which has been proposed in a way that's very sensitive to the immediate adjacent neighbors in terms of heights, massing, setbacks, depth, and in addition to any views or overlooks. Once again, transportation planning didn't provide any comments with regards to this application, indicating any concerns with respect to traffic or parking.
Yeah. Okay.
I believe
At the risk of repeating, Joe Mihevik. I live on Humewood, yes, much closer to St. Clair, but I'm speaking as, I suppose, the former city councillor representing the applicant. Let me say this. I had seen in my time as a city councillor earlier iterations of this proposal. It has been reduced in scope, and I would submit that it is modest enough. It has gone through a good staff review, both in my days as city councillor and afterwards. There has been good community consultation on it. The applicant did have a meeting at the church. Further revisions were made. This is the second visit to the Committee of Adjustment. Further revisions were made to basically allow for further setbacks. So there has been a good dialogical process back and forth. And I would submit, frankly, that at the end of the day, the build form impact is less than what there is now. The traffic impact is less than what there is now. And while I did love the church, and frankly, I even spoke at it a few times, we would from time to time also get complaints of noise in that. So I would submit that the net impact of this particular application is less than what is there now. The church has decided to sell, and I think this fits into the community very, very well. Thank you very much.
My daughter lives on Humewood. At Vaughan almost. So I'm by there often, but I think
I'm on Humewood.
And Humewood, north of Vaughan, are sort of special little isolated places there where I think the people of Pinewood have rather large lots. But, I agree with you that this isn't greater impact. Church, maybe less.
Yes.
But when you have that peace and quiet that they have now, then large lots and everything else, I think you use or think you're going to lose.
Do you want me to respond?
No, I don't think so.
I would suggest that it's actually less impactful what is there, what is proposed to be there than what is there now.
I think.
Great, thank you.
If I may just add a single point, in terms of this is located at what I would call at the edge of the neighborhood. This is not something what I would call, this is an appropriate site in terms of the way the lots have been designed in terms of orientation and the lot pattern that's been provided. It's appropriate in terms of location for more of an intensification. When you look at it from a streetscape perspective, in terms of as you walk the street, you can't tell how deep a house is, how deep a lot is. But what you can see is the building itself and how wide the properties are. The bylaw does permit for semi-detached at the current front lot frontage is being proposed. The only lot frontage that is being sought, as I indicated earlier, is for the single detached at the corner of Pinewood and Vaughan Road at 11.47, whereas 12 meters is permitted. But from a very streetscape, as one walks the street, it would be indiscernible. That's all I wanted to add.
I have a note. I think I'm sitting here looking at those pictures. I looked up and down the street. I've been up and down the street, and
Yes.
I looked up and down a few of the streets. I think what my problem is with this proposal is not this concept of the subdivision. It's not even necessarily the variances. But I don't believe that this design, in my personal opinion, and I can't speak for my colleagues, I don't think, looking at the street, that I think what bothers me about this is that the design of the buildings aren't sympathetic to the existing single-family nature of the street. They don't reflect the street. They look, they don't have a lot of soft landscaping in front. They don't sort of have a sort of single-family sort of look from the street. And I think that would have really swayed me a lot in this.
And I understand your point. The thing is that if we're talking about a design perspective, and I say this with the utmost respect. You indicated that you don't necessarily have an issue with the variances itself, you don't think, but in terms of the way it looks and the way it presents the street, semi-detached dwellings are permitted in the zoning bylaw at the frontages that we're proposing. There is a contemporary modern house just directly across the street from the subject site. That is a single detached home, flat roof, boxy in terms of nature, so that does exist. There is nothing in the bylaw or in the official plan policies that would direct you to say that you have to match or mirror what's matching.
No, and I understand that, but I think you could have sort of.
And this was done in consultation with, we did have a public open house with the neighborhood. Majority of the neighbors were present and they were in support. I'm not quite sure with this particular Ms. Rebecca is representing, because we do only see the one letter that's in the file from Rebecca. And at the meeting, the only concern was raised by Ms. Rebecca, and there was nothing else.
Half the neighbors were not informed.
We did send out a circulation notice. It was mailed, and it was in a 300-meter radius, and it was mailed out. In addition to this, this was also done with several meetings with planning staff to ensure that the massing, the height, the design, the look of the homes were appropriate. And planning staff did make recommendations specifically related to the top floor by setting it back at the front as opposed to the rear, in addition to making sure that we do have placing the single at the corner as opposed to placing it towards the top. And that was to provide for, because there's additional space because of the front boulevard along Vaughan Road, to provide for a greater setback for less of an intrusive matter. So this was done with multiple consultations with planning staff. We did have multiple consultations with immediate neighbors and also a public consultation meeting. And the form of development that's there today is a contemporary design, but there is contemporary designs of single detached homes and semi-detached homes within the neighborhood. And this is something that in terms of height, massing, and scale is appropriate, and something in terms of impacts would not be something that was uncharacteristic of what's experienced in the neighborhood today.
Take second. Yeah, bring it forward. It looks. Yeah, no. Colored. Area.
Perspective too.
Yeah.
How many people did you have attend the meeting? 7 to 8. And who did they represent? Did you make a note?
But at the immediate, basically the Pinewood Avenue, the immediate block, and also Vaughan Road as well. But we did circulate beyond that radius. But those were the people in attendance.
Thank you.
No?
Yes.
Okay, I actually am quite satisfied with the effort of the applicant to work with the community, as we've proven that they have worked with the former councillor, they held public consultation, and as much as they can put in the effort with the planning staff, and usually the planning department will address your concern about preserving neighborhoods and build forms. And if they are already have working with them, I think all these issues has been taken care of. And I'm quite satisfied with the effort, and I don't have any problem in terms of community involvement. Yeah.
I think this is exactly the kind of gentle density the city's trying to put into existing neighborhoods. It seems sensitive to the concerns of the neighborhood. I think it's attractive, so we have to do some intensification. Density is good. This is gentle density, which is even better.
Yeah. I agree.
Somebody have a motion?
I'd like to move a motion for approval Is it a consent first?
So, yes, consent and my
Yeah,
variance.
first of all, 44A for the consent, and then you have to satisfy with all the standard consent conditions. And with also condition of forestry number 1. And I also move to approve 44B, 44C, D, E, F, with forestry condition applied to 44C, forestry conditions 3 apply to 44C.
Seconder, all in favor? Have you approved?
Thank you.
We adjourn.
It's a wrap.
Yeah,
4:53. Okay.
so we have to vote for that.
I would have said 2.
To oppose that motion.
Yeah, that can.
Okay, I don't think I can unlock my password.
Yes, it is.
Maybe mine
Next time I'm going to do it around your ankle.
Maybe mine is full.